friends, and welcome back to Stray Gods. Oh, do I talk to Freddy or Persephone, or do I go to Medusa's lair first? We're gonna talk to Freddy first. It seems like the low stakes option.
Hey, so what's the news, Miss Muse?
Miss Muse?
Well, does a muse have a proper form of address? I just want to hear what exciting adventures you've been having. Everything else okay, though? Do we know who the killer is yet?
Not just yet, no.
Okay, well, let me know if there's anything I can do. If I have to hustle to become your high priestess, well, so be it.
What are Kaz and Brian up to? You didn't tell them anything, did you?
No, I told them you came home, that you're okay, but that you're having a moment. They send their love.
Should we tell them, do you think?
What for? They have their own problems. Plus, Brian can't keep a secret to save his life, and Kaz is officially homeless.
Is he still crashing on Brian's couch?
Grace, you do know that Brian doesn't have a couch, right? Just some giant beanbag things?
Then where is Kaz Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's cute. They'll tell us when they're ready. But right now, it's best just to not mix them up in this.
I should really apologize about the band. This kind of puts a dent in your plans, doesn't it?
You're right, Grace. How dare you sabotage my dreams? I am so mad I could spit.
You know what I mean. Nobody could have seen this coming, sure, but it's always been something with me.
Well, as I see it, there are two ways this goes down. One, neither of us gets back to the band. It was just a thing we did for a while before I founded a cult in your name. Or two, we get back to it and the band now has the Muse as its lead singer. Edge of Elysium becomes the coolest and most appropriate band name ever.
Ugh, I still really hate that name.
Look, Grace, you can't be the source of all the drama and name the band, okay? That's the rule.
You know what I find weird? That the idols have managed to remain completely secret all these years. Sure, they have magic and whatnot, but in all this time, nobody's found them out? Athena is that good?
Who says nobody has found them out? The way I see it, it's like UFOs.
Okay, I have to hear this.
Okay, so you could have real evidence that UFOs exist and that governments have covered it up and people still wouldn't believe it. Why? Because they'd get laughed at if they admitted it. Imagine the headline, "Greek gods exist and are living among us." What website would even run that?
Weird conspiracy ones. Yeah, you're right. Exactly how much do you know about the Greek gods, Freddy?
I know my Greek mythology, but what I've read clearly doesn't line up with who they are today. Or who they ever were, maybe.
Still might be useful. There's gotta be some truth to those stories, right?
Maybe? Who do you want to hear about?
What about Apollo?
Okay, so the prophecy stuff checks out. Apollo was god of the sun and light, but also kind of enlightenment in general. He's always talked about as this beautiful and cultured god involved with the arts and the muses, kind of a Renaissance man before the Renaissance.
He's clearly had a rough time since those days.
Well, he was also a giant horn dog, Grace. I can list off like a dozen men and women Apollo has had as lovers, and there's probably more.
Weren't they all like that, though?
I mean, Apollo's no Zeus. He never assaulted anyone as a swan. And no, they aren't all like that. Our sun god had a reputation.
Do you know anything about the muses? Or Calliope in particular?
Yeah, for starters, there were supposed to be 9. Though I guess there are some sources that said there were only 4, maybe 3. Each of the muses had her specialty. Did you know that Calliope is supposed to be the muse of epic poetry? She inspired the Odyssey.
Wow, I don't even like poetry.
Yeah, it was said her singing voice was unmatched. So they got that part right, at least.
Did she also lead the ancient Greeks in giant choreographed dance numbers?
No, but she once turned a bunch of snobby princesses into magpies, so there's that.
Tell me what you know about Persephone.
Honestly, she's the least like her stories. Usually, she's either a victim or just the wife of Hades, or both.
And that's it? She was kidnapped by Hades, end of story?
Pretty much. Her mother was so angry, she created winter. But otherwise, Persephone was just your average sweet and virginal fertility goddess.
You're right, that doesn't sound like her at all.
Must be hard to be defined by this one thing that happened to you thousands of years ago. I'd be pissed if everyone thought my story ended there.
Well, she is pretty pissed. That much is true. You said Pan was some kind of lust god, right?
Yeah, kind of. Pan's a god of the wild, and I guess that translates into a sort of lustfulness and earthiness, humping nymphs in the forest sort of thing.
And you don't like him?
Honestly, he's exactly what I'd expect him to be. All the stories say he's a lech and a beast. The Christians equated him with the devil. Weirdly, he's also the only god who's supposed to have died, though it's never really clear how or why. Anyhow, there's a great statue depicting Pan having sex with a goat. Next time you see him, you gotta ask him about it.
What about Athena? Is she really supposed to be the goddess of wisdom?
Sure, but mostly that's meant as tactical knowledge. Athena wasn't all sweetness and light. She was a warrior goddess. She was also the goddess of heroes. There are loads of stories where Athena helps guys like Odysseus or Jason or Perseus.
No female heroes back in those days?
Yeah, guess not. Women were the weaker sex, which maybe is why Athena was portrayed as being vindictive. She cursed Medusa, one of her own priestesses. She turned people into spiders, struck them blind, started the Trojan War. It's the whole thing.
Not being as wise as advertised is on brand for her, then. Just how many of these gods are there? From what I've heard, lots of idols live around here.
Well, there are tons of minor gods in Greek mythology, hundreds even, depending on how you define them. Oddly, there's never any mention of the word idols in relation to them. Maybe it's like how people worshipped idols?
I sort of assumed it was related to the eidolon.
Which is a Greek word, but I think it means ghost. An image of someone after they die.
Makes sense.
Me, I'm more amazed at all the big names missing. Not just Zeus and Hades, most of the Olympians seem to be gone. Makes you think about what's been lost, but also what might still be out there.
I wonder how much of those stories are true.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I'm giving you the quick version. There are reams of textbooks out there covering all this, but even they rarely agree with each other.
Really? Nothing definitive?
Ancient Greece was 3,000 years ago, Grace. Not much information survived all that time, if it was even valid to begin with.
Okay, that's enough questions for now.
You sure? I can talk all day. You know I can.
I'll check back with you soon, Freddy. Time for more mystery solving.
I think I'm gonna go to Persephone first. I think if I go to Medusa's lair, it's like...
Oh, back already, are you?
Can't go back.
It's just as well. I've asked around, called in some favors, just enough to get an idea of what all the idols are currently up to. Much as I'm loath to admit it, I'm back to thinking Pan may be our prime suspect after all.
Let me offer an alternative to your Pan theory. What about Medusa?
So my sources are correct. You have been running around doing things on your own.
Yeah, maybe I should bring you up to date.
Medusa was at the reliquary that night. You don't intend to confront her directly, do you?
You think I shouldn't? How else will I find out why she was there?
There's always a way, Grace. Asking someone directly isn't the only method. Confronting Medusa should be your last resort. For now, I'd say looking into Pan's involvement is more important. I want to send you to a party, Grace, one Aphrodite is holding. She and Eros know Pan perhaps better than anyone. If you go, it'll give you a chance to find out what he's really up to.
You know Aphrodite better than I do. Can't you talk to her?
She and I don't get along.
Like how you and Apollo don't get along?
Even more intensely than that. I once said some things about her husband. They were true, but unwelcome. Suffice it to say, if I showed up at Aphrodite's party, revealing Pan's secrets would be the last thing on her mind.
Why a party? Couldn't I just go wherever she lives and ask her?
You could, but if you go to this party, she'll be grateful. She holds it from time to time and always asked Calliope to attend, but Calliope never would. You can put two and two together. A grateful Aphrodite might be willing to tell you what Pan is really up to.
Interesting.
Wouldn't it be better if I checked out Medusa instead?
So you somehow discovered where to find her?
I have my ways.
I won't stop you, but the party is a better place to start.
One wild party with the goddess of love coming up.
It's less of a wild party and more of a somber affair.
You mean like a cocktail party?
Let me put it this way. Apollo will likely be there.
Gotcha. Expectations of fun downgraded considerably. I'll let you know what I find.
Does this mean we get an outfit change? Nope.
Fancy party? Check. Bunch of strangers? Check. Grace totally not dressed for the occasion? Check. Now, if only I knew what I was supposed to be doing here.
Grace? You're here.
Yeah, I'm invited, aren't I?
I'm just surprised you even knew it was happening.
Persephone said I should come to this. Whatever this is.
Persephone didn't tell you? Why am I not surprised?
I don't like the sound of that. What am I missing?
You don't have any of Calliope's memories, right? No déjà vu recollections that aren't your own?
No. Should I have?
Not right away. For a while, you won't remember anything. We call it the veil. In time, the veil will start to lift, slowly at first, but eventually you'll remember almost everything Calliope did.
That's gotta be a lot of memories. She was, what, 1,000 years old?
More than that. Much more.
Then what happens to me in my piddly 20-something years? It can't be good.
Eventually, it's like a flood. It becomes difficult to separate what's you and what's them, and all who came before them.
You're saying I won't be me. I won't be Grace. Will I start calling myself Calliope?
Maybe. Eventually, most of us do, but most of us were chosen and prepared.
And I didn't choose this.
I understand. Take some time to let it sink in. If you like, we can talk about it later.
What does this have to do with the party?
Aphrodite hasn't been the same since we came to the New World. She has horrific memories of what she endured during the war. Passing on her eidolon is a way to forget, for a while. That's what this party is for.
When you say she's gonna pass on her eidolon, you mean...
She's going to die, yes, and pass her soul on to a chosen successor.
In front of everyone?
We're here to help, Grace, to make it easier for Aphrodite to do what she feels she must. We're here to say goodbye, at least for a while.
That is sad.
This isn't the first time Aphrodite's done this. She's held this kind of gathering before, right?
This is her fourth, I think, perhaps fifth.
So every time the veil, whatever you call it, when it starts to lift,
Aphrodite's memories return, and eventually it is too much. We gather to pay our respects and to honor the past. Well, she still remembers it.
Wow, this girl's got such bad PTSD that she can't exist with her memories.
Wait. Persephone said Calliope always refused to come to these parties.
She refused on principle. Everything Calliope did was on principle. She believed Aphrodite was indulging her sadness, wallowing in it. She thought Aphrodite should try harder. It was a point of contention between them. Aphrodite will be grateful you're here. Trust me.
Do you support what Aphrodite is doing here?
It's not my choice to make, Grace.
Yeah, but you must have an opinion.
Eventually you will remember what we experienced during the war, and eventually you will remember that what Aphrodite experienced was far worse. If this is the mercy she requires, I will not tell her she should not take it.
Okay, so
I do get
what
it.
did Aphrodite want Calliope to do? What does she want me to do?
Well, knowing Aphrodite, she'll want you to make a production of it all. She's not here just yet. Until she arrives, I suggest mingling.
Mingling.
Yeah, mingling. Talk to Eros. Or we can talk more if you like. Just try to relax, Grace.
Sure, yeah. Relax. That's what this party is for, right?
Do you think I can rebuild my friendship with Apollo if I keep talking to him? But then also, I'm here to talk to Eros and Aphrodite. And I think Apollo... well, Freddy said that he has a reputation as a womanizer, so I think it's like inconsequential if I don't chase him. And also, he's kind of still a suspect. So we're gonna talk to Eros instead.
Grace!
Hey, Eros. Nice to...
Oh!
Oh. Okay.
Aphrodite will be
himbo.
so happy you're here. It means so much, you have no idea.
Are you okay? You seem a bit...
Every time she does this, I don't know how to handle it. I almost want to run upstairs and demand she stop. Remind her that this never works.
Oh.
Sorry, I shouldn't unload on you. It's been a bad week.
No, it's okay. It sounds like a bad situation.
Yeah, I guess you wouldn't know much about it, would you? I take care of Aphrodite. Ever since we came to the New World, I'm with her. Every single day. I'm there for the nightmares, the panic attacks, the days she doesn't even remember the war's over. And now I'm arranging her gathering again, so she can die again. And I'll watch it all again.
Is it okay if I ask what happened? I don't mean to pry, but I'm new. I really don't know.
I know, but it happened to Aphrodite, not me. It's not my story to tell.
That's fair. That's valid. But also...
If it's as painful to Aphrodite as it sounds, asking her about it seems like the last thing I should do.
No, you're right. Don't do that. What happened is that Brother Ares happened. He missed out on the first world-spanning war, you see. so he was damned if he'd miss out on the next one. He found some jackbooted mortals so full of themselves and their supremacy, and he told them about the idols. Then they came for us. Took us completely by surprise. Some they killed, but Aphrodite,
Oh.
her they captured.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh.
Aphrodite was captured, but she's here now. So she must have escaped.
She didn't. Do you know the name Hephaestus?
Wasn't he a smith of some kind? Giant hammer, lived in a mountain?
Some of that is mortal fancy, but yes. He was Aphrodite's husband, and he adored her beyond reason. When he found out the mortals were torturing her, he went mad. He was determined to save her.
Wait, they tortured her?
Nothing extreme, I'm told. They were too frightened, but they were also determined to wring every last secret out of her. So, who knows how long that fear would have lasted. Thus, Hephaestus made a deal.
With the, jackbooted guys.
No, with their enemies. That's what saved her.
Then this deal is how Aphrodite survived.
It's how we all survived. It's what brought us to the new world. Hephaestus saved us all. We never saw him again. That was the deal. He would leave, make their precious weapons, and never look back.
Wow.
Aphrodite never even got to say goodbye.
That's so
It's funny,
sad.
because Aphrodite didn't even like Hephaestus when they were married. She seemed to resent every minute they were together. But now he's all she can think about.
Is there no other way? Does Aphrodite really need to...
To die? I've asked that so many times. She's tried magic, drugs, psychotherapy, meditation, everything we could possibly think of. For a while, she'll deny anything's wrong. It all seems fine, and I start to hope. Maybe this time will be different. Then the nightmares begin, and the memories return. More with each passing day until... I hate it, but I see her agony. I can't deny her this.
You sound like you don't approve of what Aphrodite's doing.
What I want is for her to not hurt anymore. What I want is for this to end. She'll ask you to use your power as part of the celebration. Could you use it to inspire her?
I can't force anyone to do anything they don't want to, Eros.
That's not what I'm asking. I believe that deep down, she doesn't want to do this any longer. She must see it isn't working. She just needs the strength to try. Or I hope that's all she needs.
I'll try, if you think it'll do some good.
I don't know if it will. I just find it hard to believe it could get any worse.
Famous last words.
Tell me about it. Do whatever you think is right, Grace. And thank you.
That's so... That makes me so upset.
I know all these people, Grace. For as long as I can remember, I've known them. Yet sometimes I feel like I don't know any of them at all. Or they me.
You don't enjoy these family gatherings, do you?
Are they family gatherings? Like the sort mortals have?
You call each other sister and brother and mother.
Well, yes, but...
And you've been together like 100 times longer than I lived with my family. All you're missing is a drunk uncle everyone has to apologize for.
That would be Pan. But yes, I feel very much out of place.
Why is that exactly? Wouldn't you feel more like you belonged after 1,000 years together?
Is your assumption that all those centuries bring great wisdom?
Don't they?
We get older. We have more to forget. We hold grudges longer, but wiser. No. Not so far.
That's also very sad.
I spoke to Eros. He's pretty broken up over all this.
Oh, poor Eros. Each new successor, his hopes rise up once more. And then he watches the new Aphrodite crumble. Piece by piece. Only to start all over again. It's so different from the olden days. Once he was the eternal disaster, and Aphrodite kept constant vigil over him.
Maybe he feels like he owes her.
I think he's followed her into a dark void, and somewhere, deep down, believes he deserves no better.
I should get back out there.
Damn, Apollo.
My
New
family,
Aphrodite's so cute.
having you all here, gathered once again to see me off, it moves me more than I can say. My loves, my darlings, my dearest friends. And you. Oh, my dear sweet thing, I dare not hope that you, with all your troubles, might sing me to my sleep. Yet here you are. Yet here she is. Huh.
It's lovely to meet you, Aphrodite. Properly, this time.
Ah, yes. Poor Calliope. Such a loss to us all. I shall miss her dearly. To have come so far, only... No, it doesn't bear thinking about. It's too much.
Is this Grace, my lady? The new muse?
Oh! What manners I have. Grace, Grace, meet the lovely mortal woman who shall tonight become the new me.
Hi, my name's Venus, and yes, it really is Venus. Nice to meet you, Grace.
Yeah, hi. Nice to meet you.
We'll both be new at this, huh? Maybe we could get together and compare notes if you,
Survive my trial?
Yeah. Lady Aphrodite told me. I shouldn't have brought that up. I'm sorry.
There will be so much time for you lovelies to speak later. Now, we must prepare for my departure.
Are you sure we can't talk first? I really need your help, Aphrodite.
I know you do, my dear. I wish I could be there for you, but I'm afraid my time is up. But since you've shown such kindness in coming, I will ask Eros to make himself available to you afterwards. There's nothing I know that he does not. He is my son, my truest friend, my longest love.
Won't he be... a little distracted?
Eros has been through this before, Grace. He knows what must be done.
This is...
I have to admit, it's not clear what my part in all this is supposed to be.
How could it be? You've barely just arrived, darling girl. How did you even find out about it?
That would be Persephone's doing.
Apollo! Oh, you've come after all.
You look remarkably well, cousin.
I've had a great deal of time to prepare. I assure you that would not be the case. As for you, Grace, have you gathered the true purpose of tonight's gathering?
If I had to guess, it's to remember. One last time before all your memories go away.
Each time the veil lifts, it leaves behind a little less. For me, old Olympus is long forgotten. The glory of Rome, a distant dream. I hope that one day the veil will lift, and what happened during the war will also slip into oblivion.
But it hasn't.
Thus, for now we honor the memory of what was, lest tomorrow it be gone forever. Go, enjoy the gathering, Grace. Tell me when you're ready to begin.
Okay, so we get the option to talk to Venus.
I want to apologize again, Grace. I really messed up. It looks like I'll be doing that a lot. Lady Aphrodite said I'm ready, but I don't know.
Having second thoughts? If so, now's probably the time to mention it.
I would never do that to Lady Aphrodite. I'm just nervous.
That's understandable.
If I can ask, what does it feel like after it happens? Do you feel different?
Not really. I still felt like me, if that's what you're asking.
You didn't remember anything? About her? Who she was? She was just gone?
Yeah. Isn't that the point of all this?
I just wanted to be sure. Sometimes it doesn't seem like it could be real.
How do you know Aphrodite exactly?
So I was working at this homeless shelter, right? A couple of years ago, and she came in with one of the older residents. And she was there in this, like, amazing dress. And she's sitting with this guy and really listening to him. Like, they were old friends or something. I just thought, what is someone like her doing in a place like this? So, I just went over and introduced myself.
That's it?
Cute.
Just like that.
Yeah. She came back to the shelter a few times, but by then, I guess she'd taken an interest in me instead.
Your name's really Venus, huh?
Everybody asks me that. Even the other idols. Maybe that's why Lady Aphrodite noticed me in the first place. She says it was fated to be. I say it's because my mama was a diehard hippie.
Yep.
Are you really okay with all this? You know what's gonna happen, right?
I saw a lot of people in crisis at the shelter. I knew something was wrong with Lady Aphrodite. She's in so much pain, Grace. She won't let you see how much. Errol's called me one night desperate. She wouldn't stop screaming. She didn't know where she was. She's a good person, Grace. A good soul. She deserves mercy.
You probably need to get ready. I shouldn't keep you.
No, this is Lady Aphrodite's big night, not mine.
It'll be yours later, won't it?
Yeah, I guess it will.
Is there more to say to Apollo? Is this gonna be a waste of time?
Back again.
I don't think I'll have a chance to talk to Aphrodite. Not before, you know.
Not surprising. Surely Persephone must have realized that.
How? She's never been to one of these things. Anyway, I'm not sure what I'd do now.
You have two choices, Grace. Either you do as she asks and sing her to her rest,
At which point Venus won't have Aphrodite's memories yet.
or you somehow convince her to remain with us and hope she's grateful.
And doesn't regret it. Or get angry at me for ruining her party.
Do what you feel is right. It's a risk either way.
Oh man.
Have you spoken with Venus? She seems really...
Nice, earnest, a genuinely good person.
Yeah, I suppose.
It's not an accident. Ever since the war, Aphrodite has sought out the kindest, the most innocent souls to be her successors. She chooses them because she believes that over time, it might make her a better person. A more worthy person.
That's
It'd be
kind of
better
a
if she
little
chose
bit
people who
fucked
are,
up.
I don't know, more resilient.
I suppose that depends on your definition of strength, Grace.
Ooh,
I should get back out
true.
there.
That's a banger. That's a banger line. What do I do?
I have tried so hard, fought for so long, but in the end, I must bid you all farewell once again. But before I go, I would like us all to remember the sacrifices that brought us here, to this strange new world. This time, it is with the help of our lovely muse that we shall be guided. We let them rise. We let it happen. We waited far too long. We thought we shouldn't intervene. We were wrong. We were wrong. Since the beginning we were hidden. We held court from up above. 'Twas the golden age of reason, and I the queen of love. But a plague of hate was spreading, and there were vultures standing by. Before we fell to our knees begging, we fell from the sky. We let them rise, we let it happen. We waited far too long. We thought we shouldn't intervene. We were wrong. We were wrong. We sought shelter from the shadows, but were soon ripped from the dark. Those mortal souls that ended us were jealous from the start. They hunted me for power to fuel their psychopathic cause. And once they fell before me and worshipped all I was, they chased me down and threw me in a cage, held me prisoner for so long. I thought I'd win their hearts again. I was wrong.
This is a very blue-heavy song.
I see you have the power. It's a poisonous reward. My virtues only scorn me when I was once adored. Loved by every mortal, then ripped from paradise. No one suffered greater till he made his sacrifice. The man that I ignored saved me when I fell. Yes, the husband I abhorred rescued me from hell. I thought it was a joke when it was said to me, he struck a deal with our enemy's enemy, made a secret weapon so my captors let me go. He gave up his freedom, leaving just a memory, and this love I'll never know is what he gave to me.
I can't believe what I'm hearing today. If your story stops there, I've nothing to say. I can't imagine. I feel like a child who grew up too fast.
There's no sweet release, it's ongoing.
You know, you know.
Everyone's here to bid me farewell. Can you imagine?
I can imagine
This really happened. I won't let you weep, you know it's too late. Sing me to sleep, pity my fate, my memories won't let me be.
And this is where I have to make the choice.
Lost in a moment, lost in a song. Lost in a moment, lost in a song. Lost in a moment. I'm only new here, so all this seems out of my hands. And your ceremony, well, only a God understands. But when it's all over, what will become of the girl who keeps all your secrets secret from you? Will she disappear as you come into view? Is there some other way to get through? Lost in a moment, lost in a song. Lost in a moment, lost in a song. Lost in a moment. If anyone would know about the mysteries of love, you would know. Only you can decide. Lost in a moment, lost in a song. Lost in a moment, lost in a song. Lost in a moment.
Goosebumps.
Lost in a moment. Lost in
She
a
still goes through with it.
Are you...
I'm fine. I'm still myself. I thought there'd be something more, that I feel her presence, but she's just gone.
She'll be back. But she'll also be you.
Fuck.
She'll be... different.
I'll try to be ready. I promise.
I'm really sorry, Eros. I know you wanted me to convince Aphrodite to change her mind, but...
It's all right. There's no convincing her, was there?
She didn't have the strength to fight any longer. At least, now she can rest.
I suppose that's true. Before we go, Aphrodite told me you wanted her help to learn about Calliope's death. I'm not my mother, but maybe there's something I can tell you. Do you have any suspects yet?
Nobody definite, no, but I've narrowed the list of who it could be.
What are your thoughts?
For one, it had to be someone who had access to the reliquary. Two, it had to be someone who could do it right under the noses of Hecate and the Minotaur. Medusa was there, but I'm not sure she got inside. And are either of those things true for her?
Calliope came to see Aphrodite and I that night. She was agitated, frightened even, but she wouldn't explain why. She said she had a plan. It must have been the reliquary.
A plan? A plan for what? What could she find at the reliquary that would help her?
Maybe she wanted a weapon. Something to defend herself with.
But she got inside and didn't take anything.
Even Hecate doesn't know what she was there for? I thought she knew everything.
I'm afraid I can't be much help, Grace. Few have access to the reliquary, and I have no idea even who they are.
If Medusa was there, I'd suggest asking her how and why. Lady Aphrodite was always suspicious of her true motives.
Okay.
Come now, Venus. It's been a long night. I'll get you home.
Thank you for everything, Grace. Truly. It was a wonderful song.
I tried.
So, did they have anything helpful? Medusa. That's a rather dark name to unearth. Are you thinking of seeking her out?
Whoa.
I have to. How else will I find out what she knows?
You need to be careful, Grace. Medusa is not to be toyed with. Athena employs her as a spy master, a hound to do her bidding, a vicious hound at that. Athena's not likely to tell either of us where to find Medusa. I can't say for certain who would know.
Actually, that part's already taken care of.
Are you all right, Grace? You seem troubled.
What you said earlier about Calliope's memories coming back.
That wasn't how I wanted you to find out. I'm sorry. If I might suggest, speak with Persephone about it when you get a chance. It might be good for you.
You think she could help? Persephone?
Persephone and I have our problems, but I can't deny she is insightful. She'll surprise you.
I might do that. Thanks.
I assume you'll be on your way then?
Yeah, I should probably check in.
Give my regards to Persephone when you see her.
Apollo. Always so dramatic. Well done, by the way. And cheers to you, Aphrodite. You shall be missed. For a few years, at least.
I still don't know if I did the right thing.
Well, it was never up to you, Grace. The choice has always been Aphrodite's. She's been in hell since the war. And you were only a visitor. I remember the last time I passed on my Eidolon. 1952. I was married to, well, I'd say you'd call him a gangster. More of a thug. A mean, vicious little thug. Persephone saved me from him. Tore his head clean off. But not before he fired a shotgun into her chest. My chest? Whatever.
Do you remember who you were before?
I still am her. Chastity, that is. You can see why I switched names. I remember being disgusted I was ever that weak. Persephone made me strong. But it never really goes away. We all have our sordid history, our personal horrors, building up like sediment around our souls. You can't let it bury you, Grace. You are the only one who can keep your head afloat.
You're incredible. You know that?
There's no need to be facetious, Grace.
No, really.
I am incredible. It's true. It's good that you recognize this.
Okay, I take it back.
Oh, you can't take it back, Grace. I would have thought you'd learned that by now.
Oh. Oh? We get a song out of this? This is wild.
After centuries of cruel injustice, everybody working against me, every idol but for one, violent with apathy. We couldn't reach a resolution, but you and I, I'm queen of the underworld, and you, Grace, you. Something seems familiar about you. Have we met some lifetime ago?
Stanny's gonna appreciate the surface
Gods like me don't have too much to hope for. The rules been fixed throughout the ages, so I have forged a daring path. I would like to make some changes. You see, we can win a revolution, you and I, you and I.
Yeah.
I'm queen of the underworld, and you, Grace, you.
This bitch is trying to convince me to take over
When we met,
chorus.
you weren't very keen on me. Now you're suggesting we have mutual enemies. What's changed?
You've got one big mouth on you, don't you? Yet it's me who's
Damn, okay, mommy.
closing in. Think I like that mouth on you.
Whoa.
Won't you? You've overstayed your welcome.
Excuse
Time
me?
to go home. Get out of here, Grace.
Excuse me? What just happened?
This must be the Viper's Nest. Scariest part of town, no sign. Just that one dude glaring at everyone. Well, I'm here now. Just another day in the life of an idol.
There you are. Man, this place is the worst. I think someone peed on me.
Freddy? What are you doing here?
What, you thought I wouldn't notice you skulking off? You didn't even bring any equipment, Grace.
What kind of equipment does one bring to a meeting with Medusa?
This isn't a meeting, Grace. You're not here to sell her on your business plan.
Please tell me you don't have any weapons in there.
Nothing that would get me stopped on the bus. Look, you're gonna need some backup in there, okay? Do you even know anything about Medusa?
Do you think she actually turns people to stone?
Let's hope not, or this could be a short visit. Or a really, really long one.
I'm serious.
Perseus used a mirror to reflect Medusa's gaze back at her. Oh, maybe you could use your phone.
You think that would work?
Unless you brought a mirror, Grace, it's all you got.
True.
Okay, I'll bite. What do you know about Medusa?
Well, you know she was human once, right? And she was cursed?
Apollo mentioned it, yeah.
Cursed by Athena. Or so one of the stories goes, anyway.
But doesn't she work for Athena?
Hey, don't look at me. My knowledge of this stuff stops at a few thousand years ago.
She was once human, but she's definitely a monster, right?
Yeah, one of the worst. But you know, so was the Minotaur.
Asterion said she was scary. I have a feeling she's not like him.
Then I guess you need to be prepared for the possibility that she is as bad as the legends say. Though some of the stories also say that she was wronged by Athena and that what was done to her was an injustice.
And Athena just follows the rules, right? Okay, enough talking. Time to do this.
Are we gonna get song
you have a plan for how we're getting inside, I hope?
This is a very
Maybe.
productive episode.
You're here to help?
Always.
Then I have a plan.
I don't have a plan.
Hi, this is where the comic convention is, right? I hope I'm not too late for the signing.
Why is Pan here now?
I'm afraid you had the wrong address.
What? No. Oh god, no. No, that can't be right. Do you understand the indignities that I have endured? The weird looks, the body odors. Someone spilled coffee all over my cosplay outfit. No, do not tell me that I got
just
it wrong.
keep him
I spent
busy while I look
$50 on this
around.
ticket. I demand my personal photo.
Good job, Freddy. Don't think I didn't notice Pan back there.
What a long day, hiding in the light.
Oh!
Such a long day, dreaming of tonight. This
I love the creative choices they made with her.
Hello, who's that there? You've messed up my flow. Just get your drink, girl, and take your seat. Oh, it's the muse. There are sacred bites, and then there's this sacred bite. So wrong, so right. I'm really gonna hate myself tonight.
Medusa, listen, stop, I'm warning you. This is something you don't want to do.
Tell me more about me, look at you. A prime sashimi with opinions too.
Medusa, listen, I'm warning you.
Yes, keep on warning
There's no
me.
rewinding, it's something you can't undo. Can't undo.
It's kind of the point, lovely. Now look into me. Your body goes freely every time I see it tenders, turning jelly. I see it renders. What'd you say, Grace? You okay, Grace? Where's the game face this time? You are currently experiencing something I like to call the preparation. Any questions or comments? That's right, it is widely known that I can turn folks to stone. But oh, I won't this time. Cause this time I find dine that oozy musy bloods my wine this time. Look into me. Oh, she's looking away. Hey, look into
Medusa.
me.
Saw hunger with no end. You lost, Medusa. Unless you find a friend,
What I should
can be a
look at me, but don't so.
Well, why was she mad?
She said I'd been bad.
Had you been?
No. Now look into me.
Listen, Medusa, please. Athena hides you, she's ashamed of you. But she profits all the same from you. If she'd done that to me, I'd be like you.
You could never.
If I'd been damaged in a way that you can't undo.
You're not a killer.
I know. Wait. So you know that it's true that I didn't do it.
No.
Ooh.
Yes, you do know. You know. Does that mean Athena knows?
No. Okay. It's dinner time now. You're not gonna look fine, Grace.
Don't you see, Medusa? You are just hurt. Your queen's a user. Your Athena's feet will be slightly tougher. She's a friend, but you're really. We can get you free.
You said to me,
Persephone can get you free.
so free.
Is that a yes?
That's a maybe.
Maybe what?
Oh!
Did I miss something?
Oh!
Is she serious?
That depends. What do you think, Medusa? Will you help me out?
Oh, fine. Fine. What exactly is it that you want, pretty muse?
Oh, come on. You really can't guess? You're smarter than that.
Blast! This is why I didn't tell Lady Athena. I knew it would come back to haunt me. I only followed pretty Calliope to the reliquary. I never spoke to her, never even caught up to her. I swear it.
That's what Asterion told us, more or less.
But you were there that night.
Yes, I admit it. Ugh, Lady Athena will have my head. She'll mount it on a pike. Whatever you might think of me, I had no part in the Muse's death. I did not even know she'd been attacked until I saw her fleeing.
You followed Calliope to the reliquary. Why were you shadowing her at all?
I am Lady Athena's spymaster, yes. Calliope has been trouble from time to time.
So you were spying on her?
I keep watch over every idol who no longer lives in Olympus, but especially Calliope. When I realized she was headed to the reliquary that eve, I followed. I had a duty to Athena.
Okay.
Did you ever find out why Calliope went there?
I was never close enough to ask. When I drew near to the reliquary, that is when I saw the Muse fleeing. She was frightened, bloodied, dying.
Let me guess, that made you hungry.
I gave chase, yes, but to discover the truth. I knew Lady Athena would wish to know.
That does make sense from your perspective.
I didn't learn the truth until later. And then it was far too late.
You haven't told Athena any of this? You agreed to help, remember?
I told her Calliope was at the reliquary that night. I did not tell her I was also there.
Why not? Wouldn't Athena find out from Hecate anyway?
I was not thinking clearly. I panicked. Lady Athena barely tolerates my presence as it is. If she thought I was involved in any way, if she even suspected...
Asterion said he caught up with you out in the fog. Is that right?
I thought he was the one who had attacked her. He is a great beast of a creature.
He killed Hecate's cat by accident, but this still seems hard to believe.
Yes, I only realized my mistake once I caught up to him, and by then the Muse was gone.
And you never found her afterwards?
I thought she might flee to her pretty home, or to the sharp and prickly Persephone. She did neither.
Yeah, she came to see me. Why should we believe you? You did just try to eat me, remember?
I agreed to help you. I speak the truth.
Right, and not at all trying to cover your own ass.
You presented an opportunity. Oh, to taste the sweet, sweet blood of a hero once again. It's a problem. I've been working on it, I really have.
Uh-huh.
Well, what of Pan? The only reason I knew Calliope was going to the reliquary is because he informed me.
Uh-huh.
So much for never lying to me.
What were the odds, honestly?
Let's put a pin in that for the moment, shall we?
I am a monster. It's true, I do not deny it. It's still, I did not kill the muse.
Okay, let's say we believe you. For the moment.
I've told you everything I know. We have a bargain. You said my curse might be lifted.
Hey, I'll ask Persephone. That's all I can do.
Whatever you do, pretty muse, I beg you. Do not tell Athena of my indiscretion. Show mercy. I know what I am horrifies you. It horrifies me as well. I cannot help what I am. I did not ask to be cursed like this.
Whether I tell Athena depends. Have you done this before?
Don't you think Athena should know what her spy master is like?
No, she cannot. I am a lost and cursed thing. No idol. If Lady Athena should learn the truth... I hope you find what you seek, pretty muse. And that we meet again someday. And sing a different song.
Interesting. I don't know how I feel about that.
He knew. Right from the start, Pan knew Calliope was there that night.
Yeah, and who could have foreseen that he was lying to you the entire time? Who, I ask you, a mystery even the Oracle couldn't have penetrated.
It just doesn't make sense. Pan sent me to the reliquary. If he's involved, why would he do that?
I don't know. Guilt, maybe? Anyhow, you probably have a few questions for Mr. Goatman. I'll see you at home.
Hey, I really appreciate all your help, Fred.
Right? I am so good at this. Who needs to be an idol?
Is this where you offer to be my kick-ass high priestess?
Am I not already? Seriously, am I not?
Oh, if it isn't, the lovely Grace?
You knew. Right from the start, you knew Calliope was there that night.
Well, yes. She asked for the key and I gave it to her, no questions asked. I told you I didn't know what happened to Calliope, and that's the truth. I did not. So I
He's saying
nudged
did
you
not.
in the right direction.
He's not saying do not. He's saying did not.
So you were what? Just trying to be helpful? You still aren't telling me something.
What possible reason would I have to—
Tell me, right now.
Medusa learned that Calliope was going to the reliquary because I told her. Now, before you say anything, I had no idea of the fate awaiting our dear muse. And you yourself said Medusa was not responsible. I simply had to know if I'd inadvertently, rather innocently—
Sold her out? She came to you for help, and you gave her whereabouts to the highest bidder.
I am trying to help, Grace. In my way.
What do you mean, in my way? What way is that?
The way where I don't take all the blame.
What else will I discover, Pan? I'd rather learn it now than later.
I wish I could tell you, Grace. I truly do.
Okay.
Back again so soon, Grace? You're practically a regular at the club. Did you end up finding Medusa? Or did she vanish the moment you came near, like she does with every other idol?
She definitely did not vanish. Maybe I better explain what happened.
I kind of really like that they cut out the
We
explanation.
never should have brought that monster to the New World. Athena is a fool to think Medusa can be controlled. You're fortunate to have made it out in one piece. It could have gone very poorly for you.
Should we try to romance her again? I'm gonna do
You're
it.
right. I should have brought you to protect little old defenseless me.
Ah. If I'd gone, you would have found nothing more than an empty building, I assure you.
Because you're so big and scary.
I'm glad you appreciate my finer qualities.
At any rate, Medusa might be in the clear. Pan, however, is not.
I don't imagine you've confronted him yet.
He admitted to selling out Calliope, but not to killing her. I don't know if I can believe him.
Nor I. Pan would do anything to save his own skin. Allow me some time to consider our next move. On a different matter, I've had time to do some thinking. After Aphrodite's party, we never really spoke about the Eidolon and Calliope's memories. No doubt you have many questions.
Apollo told me a little about it. He did say I should talk to you, though.
Did he now? Is there anything you'd like to ask?
How many times have you died? Can I ask that?
We call it passing on. I've lost track of just how many times I've passed on my Eidolon. A dozen? It's happened less often in more recent eras.
And the one you told me about, the woman married to that gangster? She was the most recent?
I don't think of Chastity as a she. That was me, just as the one my husband blasted with a shotgun was also me. It was one of the few times I wasn't able to prepare my successor. We were friends, yes, but I didn't know what Persephone was, and I had no idea what I'd just become.
That must have been difficult.
It was more difficult taking over my dead husband's territory. Women weren't often mobsters in those days.
Were you really a gangster? I've heard it said, but it sounds...
Let me put it this way. I felt as if I'd been blessed by a dying woman who saved me from a prison of my own making. I didn't know what I was, but I was free. I felt more alive than I'd ever felt before, and strong enough to toss an ox 10 feet. Did I set out to become a mobster? Not exactly. My husband's friends thought I'd murdered him, however, so they came after me. And one thing led to another.
Oh, I see.
Athena found me just as my memories were starting to return. I wasn't permitted to continue doing something so noticeable, so I was carted off to Olympus. It's too bad, really. I was an excellent mobster.
When all these memories start to return, will I feel different?
First, you'll have dreams. Places you've never been, people you've never met. But unlike with normal dreams, these will linger. Then they will come while you're awake. Sudden flashes or snippets of déjà vu. And sometimes it will seem so real you'll swear you're hallucinating. If there's anything difficult about the process, is that it becomes hard to differentiate between your life and all these other lives you're now recalling.
It does sound confusing.
Confusing and often unpleasant, as not all the memories will be fond ones. But that will pass in time.
You said it becomes hard to differentiate your life from the others. How hard, exactly? It'll still be me, right?
Oh, how do I explain this? Grace, would you say that you are who you are because of your experiences? The things you've lived and done?
I guess so, sure.
Well, all the things Calliope has done, and those before her, will now be yours. They will feel like a part of your life as well. Thus, they can't help but shape you. The Grace that is now will be and will have done so much more. Fortunately, you don't have to deal with every memory. Each time the Eidolon passes on, the oldest memories fade, and that helps.
Wait, how is it good that old memories start to fade?
Think of how old we are, Grace. If all those memories returned to you with perfect clarity, they would destroy you.
Yeah, but doesn't that mean you've all forgotten so much?
Well, far more than we remember. The further I think back, the more it becomes a bit of a blur, actually. You'll recall important moments. Some will be mixed up with the stories mortals tell, and you won't be sure which is the memory and which is the story. An idol's memory is a series of islands in a dark ocean, and they become smaller and smaller as they recede into the horizon. It sounds dire, but you become accustomed to it. It just takes time, and now you have all the time in the world.
Wait, you said that Persephone passed on her Eidolon as she lay dying. What if she had just died?
The Eidolon will keep us alive for a time, even in the most horrific circumstances, in hopes that there's someone to pass it on to.
What if there isn't? What if Chastity had died before you were shot?
Well, then the line of Persephone would have ended then and there. Oh, there are some stories that say an Eidolon will go wandering, that it never really dies. And who knows if there's any truth to that. It's not exactly something we've had the opportunity to study. All we know is that many idols have left us forever. They've died, and that's how it happens.
It's a lot to consider. Assuming I'll even have time to worry about it, what with the trial coming.
Either the trial will end poorly, in which case all of this is moot, or it will end well, and you will have plenty of time to digest.
Yeah, thanks for the update.
I'm a realist, Grace. It's what I'm best at. Now then,
Fair.
unless you've something else to ask.
Tell me more about Calliope. You and her were good friends, right?
We were.
And
if you had told me a decade ago that I would become close to one of the muses, I would have laughed in your face. I always considered them Apollo's creatures. Calliope, Cleo, and Talia. Vapid, frivolous gods who handed off their Eidolon to any artist who took their fancy. Every time I met one of them, they were someone else. Apollo called them the Sisters of Beauty, no matter their gender. Can you imagine that? That's such a stupid name.
I never thought of that. Do idols change gender a lot?
Well, we tend to seek out successors like ourselves, but it happens. With the muses, it happened frequently. Everywhere Apollo went, they surrounded him like a gaggle of ducklings, just like him to gather his own fans.
If you disliked the muses so much, how did you end up becoming friends with Calliope?
She sought me out. She'd become more and more unhappy on Olympus, so she decided to leave just as I had, long before. Calliope asked for my help, and I laughed in her face. Go ask one of your sycophant mortals, I told her. I mean, surely one of them has some threadbare couch you can sleep on.
Wow.
Typically, she was undeterred. She didn't just want a place to stay. She said she wanted to learn how to be truly independent from an idol who had mastered it. What can I say? I mean, I am a sucker for a well-timed compliment.
Obviously.
I took her in. Apollo was furious. He and Calliope were barely speaking, but he was certain she'd come crawling back to Olympus. Oh, it made taking her in all the sweeter.
After you took Calliope in, that's when you became friends?
Well, no, not right away. I wasn't looking for a friend. What I was looking for was an opening act in the club. Calliope entertained here for years, and then eventually turned from performing to attracting new acts. She was in her element. She and I, we warmed up to each other eventually. She was more capable than I expected, and I adored her furious rants.
Calliope didn't seem like the furious type when I met her. That's hard to picture.
Oh, then you didn't really meet her. She was an idealist, and nobody could ever quite live up to her standards for very long. Her brothers and sisters, least of all. The idols needed to change, she said. They were withering away in the shadows, diminished and unwilling to save their own skins. When I joined the chorus, she expected me to change everything, as if I could single-handedly override Athena. I was to be her champion, and together we would bring revolution to the idols. Well, I was yet another disappointment. She left the club, but I gave her a place to live. We were supposed to stay in touch, but you know how it went from there.
What happened to the other muses? You mentioned 2 others. Were they lost in the war?
One of them was, though not like you think. The day we were to leave on the ship, Talia simply never showed up.
Do you know what happened to her?
We never heard from her again. Apollo thrashed about in mourning, but, Talia had been fading away for years. It wasn't a surprise to the rest of us.
What about the other muse, Cleo?
Died long before. A victim at the hands of a mortal man, when she no longer possessed the power to bedazzle him. As I understand it, he kept her in a cage as a pet until her eidolon shriveled up and perished. He was dead before she was.
That's sad.
That's pretty dark.
Yes, well, we come by our wariness of mortals honestly, Grace.
Are you willing to talk about Hades? If you don't want to, that's fine. I'm just...
incredibly curious how I ended up murdering my husband.
That, yeah.
One might think that my hatred of Hades began when he kidnapped me and forced me to be his bride. But honestly, that wasn't it. I hated my brothers and sisters for letting it happen, but Hades himself terrified me. He had a presence. One that forever made him the most important man in the room. And me? Oh, I was nothing in comparison. When Hades began doting on me, trying to earn my favor, I swooned that he might deign to think of me that way. For centuries, I actually thought I was in love, that the kidnapping was the best thing that ever happened to me. It's funny how our perspectives change.
If you got along with Hades for so long, what changed?
I did. I grew up. I was a trophy for Hades, a conquest that he expected to remain meek and unchanging forever. He went out of his way to keep me small. I slowly realized that, he'd always been that way. Manipulation and arrogance behind the handsome sneer. We battled for centuries. I hated him, and I told him so, but he refused to part with me. He declared that I was his and would stay in the underworld where I belonged.
And that's when you killed him?
That's when I killed him, yes. The first time one idol had ever murdered another. Thank you very much.
I'm guessing the other idols weren't thrilled with you killing Hades.
Well, Yeah, they didn't know what to do with me. And Athena was furious that the
Persephone
most powerful
is just
remaining idol
strong
had been lost.
Gangster mommy.
See, this was before the war and
been
before
through a
all
lot.
the new rules. The chorus had never once contemplated execution, but they certainly considered it then. In the end, they decided it was better to humiliate me. They ensured I did not benefit from Hades' murder, and stripped the throne I had wrested from his grasp.
Which you weren't happy about.
I asked them where they were all those years while I pleaded for help. I was held captive, and what was I expected to do? What, lie down and take it forever because Hades was more useful to them alive? No. I stopped doing what was expected of me the day I slit his throat. May he rot in Tartarus with the Titans for all eternity.
How did you go from ruling the underworld to opening a nightclub named after it?
I won it in a bet with Dionysus, god of merriment.
Okay, there
Fair
has to be a
enough.
story there.
Well, the story is that he was a fool, but a charming one with many patrons. They built him a nightclub as his personal playground. And it was a grand old time for Dionysus in the 1970s, I assure you, but he didn't know how to run a business. By the time disco was ready to die, so was his stupid club. So I offered to make it profitable. If I succeeded, he would turn ownership over to me. He accepted because, frankly, all he wanted to do was drink anyhow. I was successful. The club became mine, and I kicked Dionysus out for never paying his tab.
Sucks to be him.
Dionysus ever sobers up, he might decide to be sore about it, but so far, that hasn't happened.
What's the deal between you and Apollo? The way you two fight.
I've told you how he and the other idols stood by and let me rot with Hades, did I not?
Fair.
It seems more personal than that.
Okay, there's an old saying that no one escapes the underworld. But that's not true. I did. Once. Not long after Hades kidnapped me. I was homesick, and I missed my mother. Charon took pity on me and allowed me across the Styx. And after that, Grace, I waded through darkness itself to get out of there. Hades chased after me relentlessly, but I evaded him, right up until I got to the very slopes of Olympus. And who do you suppose was the first idol I met?
Uh-oh.
Apollo stood there. I cried out to him, begging him not to let Hades take me, and yet Apollo did as he has always done. Absolutely nothing. Hades was thrilled, and I knew then and there I could never rely on my so-called family for anything, ever again.
Fair.
I'd like to know a little more about the idols. I am one now, right?
What constitutes a little more in this instance?
Well,
Oh, she's getting.
what
she's
are
getting
we?
Sick of me.
Where did we come
She's getting
from?
sick of my.
If an idol is a
questions.
soul that moves from person to person, it must have started somewhere, right?
Ah, the big question. To which the answer is, nobody knows. I remember the original Persephone only vaguely. Indeed, I'm not even certain she was the original. I mean, was there something before her? How did she get her idol on? I couldn't tell you. Evidently, we wrote little down in those early days, or were forbidden to, and our memories only stretch back so far. Anything beyond that simply isn't.
That's all I can think of for now. I'll see you around.
Oh yes, that's where I'll be. Around.
Alright, we're at a good stopping point.